Imagine accessing a mental state where absolutely nothing from the outside world distracts you, where time seems to slow down, your mind dives into a single task with total intensity, and ideas flow as if the universe itself conspired in your favor. This state exists and has been experienced by extraordinary minds like Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, Marie Curie, and Nikola Tesla. They were not just geniuses by nature, but by discipline. They mastered the art of focus not by luck, but because consciously or instinctively they cultivated mental practices that favored deep concentration. The good news: these practices are not privileges for a select few. They are accessible to anyone willing to train their brain. In this age of hyperconnectivity, where phones vibrate incessantly and notifications compete for every second of our attention, focusing has become a true superpower. Mindfulness is now one of the scarcest and therefore most valuable resources. The geniuses knew this. They protected their minds like a sacred garden, free from external chaos. They understood that focus does not arise by chance. It is cultivated, like a muscle trained with daily effort and intention. Everything begins with how we wake up. While many awaken already immersed in emails, news, or social media, creative minds created morning rituals that prepared their brains for excellence. Silence, outdoor walks, free writing, meditation or prayer, any practice that helps calm the mind and activate the prefrontal cortex, responsible for reasoning, decision-making, and mental clarity. This tranquil start establishes fertile ground for focus and for what specialists call a state of flow. Next comes a fundamental principle, almost sacred: doing one thing at a time. The celebrated multitasking is, in fact, a silent saboteur of performance. Research in neuroscience shows that switching between tasks incurs a transition cost, requiring the brain to exert extra effort to readjust with each swap, leading to mental exhaustion and loss of productivity. Geniuses avoid this. They prefer to dive deeply into a single activity for intense blocks of time, with maximum presence. This is what we now call deep work. During these periods, silence becomes an ally, disconnection becomes the rule, and every second is lived with intention. There is no room for distractions. Every action is deliberate and every thought has direction. It is in this state that the impossible begins to seem possible. Where great ideas are born, complex problems find solutions, and projects come to life with fluidity. Genius, after all, is not just about what one thinks, but about how one thinks. Learning to protect attention, respect the rhythm of one's brain, and build internal and external environments that promote focus is a powerful decision, a choice that transforms not only performance, but life. What if you could train your mind for this? What if you could, day after day, turn your brain into a powerhouse of presence and productivity? The truth is, you can. Because focus is not a privilege of geniuses, it is a practice of determined people. But focus is not just a matter of discipline. It is, above all, an emotional experience. Truly brilliant minds do not force themselves to pay attention. They are driven by an insatiable, almost childlike curiosity. This is one of the great secrets seldom addressed regarding extraordinary performance. Geniuses do not just learn, they explore. They see questions as portals to the unknown, not as obstacles. The physicist Richard Feynman said that the joy of discovery was his greatest motivator. Instead of viewing effort as a burden, they let themselves be carried away by the spark of fascination. Curiosity is, therefore, a powerful brain fuel. It activates dopamine, a neurotransmitter directly linked to motivation and the sensation of reward, keeping the brain alert, more receptive to learning, and more willing to persist. Besides the restless mind, the environment plays a decisive role in cognitive performance. Historical geniuses were often meticulous about where they created. Visually or audibly polluted environments drain mental energy without us realizing it. Thus, many adopted minimalist, quiet and orderly spaces, true temples of concentration. When we create a sanctuary of focus, we send a clear signal to the brain that this is a space for production and creation. This reinforces positive mental associations and reduces the time needed to enter a state of flow. Another crucial point often overlooked is respecting the body's natural cycles. Great minds always understood that rest is not a luxury, but part of the process. Nikola Tesla took brief naps to restore focus. Salvador Dalí used breaks as creative springboards. Today, neuroscientists like Andrew Huberman explain this phenomenon. After about 90 to 120 minutes of mental effort, the brain becomes saturated and needs a break to regain its capacity for concentration. Simple activities like a short walk, meditation, or just a few minutes with eyes closed can completely renew performance. And nighttime sleep is the true restorer of the nervous system. It is during deep sleep that the brain clears metabolic waste, consolidates memories, and strengthens neural connections, fundamental processes for learning and creativity. Finally, there is a quiet yet transformative practice that many geniuses intuitively mastered: mental visualization. Before putting any idea on paper, Albert Einstein conducted complete experiments in his mind with such richness of detail that they seemed real. Science proves that visualizing an action activates the same brain regions involved in physically performing it. When associated with well-defined goals, divided into small, achievable steps, visualization becomes an internal navigation system. It aligns emotion, clarity, and action. Knowing exactly what you want, imagining yourself in motion, and recognizing the next concrete step reduces anxiety and naturally enhances focus. After all, focus is not rigidity, it is a flow with direction. These 6 principles, morning ritual, single tasking, intense curiosity, optimized environment, strategic breaks, and clear visualization, are not magic formulas or secrets locked away. They are intentional practices, simple in theory, but powerful in application. They form the foundation of deep focus, one of the most underestimated and transformative skills of the modern era. The most fascinating thing is understanding that focus is not an innate talent reserved for geniuses or monks in seclusion. On the contrary, it is a mental tool accessible to all of us, trainable like a muscle and shaped like a rough diamond. The difference between an ordinary mind and a brilliant mind often does not lie in innate intelligence, but in the discipline with which that intelligence is cultivated. Small adjustments to your routine, applying just 2 or 3 of these principles, can trigger surprising changes: more productivity, less distraction, clarity in decisions, unlocked creativity, and, above all, a profound sense of inner fulfillment. Focus is the filter that separates the noise from what truly matters. It sharpens thought, stabilizes emotions, and exponentially amplifies the impact of every action. It is like a lens that concentrates the light of your mental energy, enabling it to penetrate obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. If you really want to hack your brain, start here. Protect your attention as if guarding a rare treasure. Eliminate distractions with the same firmness with which you would defend your greatest dreams. Train your focus as if you were sculpting your own genius, because deep down, that is exactly what you are doing. Geniuses do not emerge fully formed. They are built day after day, choice after choice. And perhaps the first brick in this extraordinary construction is simply the courage to decide where, when, and how you choose to place your attention.